Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here, and it's time for this week's weekly adventures. So we have a 4.5, 2.5, and a 1.5 star adventure. So first for Tom Kench, we have round start refill all players' spell mana. So this is good for pretty much everyone. One thing I would suggest is whoever you're playing with this, just don't run Archangel Staff, since essentially you're getting that for free. So any spells based deck could really take advantage of this. And also the 3 new champions all have some pretty strong spells, so they could really take advantage of this, especially Poro King and Nidalee. But for this one, really play whoever you want. Everyone will be able to benefit from this. And for a 1.5 star adventure, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to clear with any champion that you like. For the 2.5, we have Dying Laughing. Game start, all players summon a 0/10 Phantom Prankster. So the Phantom Prankster, when an ally dies, deal 1 damage to the enemy nexus. Then we have Survival of the Fittest. Round start, obliterate the foe's weakest unit to grant double its stats to the foe's strongest unit. So because of this, you don't really have to worry about the Phantom Prankster that the enemy has as far as sitting on the board, constantly damaging Nexus. You do have to worry about it though, giving the enemy unit 20 health. So that will be pretty scary. Couple of ways that you could deal with this. For one, Tom Kench, he should be able to capture whatever unit the enemy has, most likely. Also, Annie, you can use her Disintegrate to easily kill even the strongest enemy units. But you could also just focus on your own Phantom Prankster and going wide with a lot of very expendable units. So any swarm deck such as Misfortune, Gwen, even the Poro King, any deck with a lot of expendable units should be able to benefit from this quite well. Just doing a lot of Nexus damage and then defending from the enemy. Now, if you can, you want to be killing the entire enemy board. That way, this effect of obliterating their weakest unit to grant double their stats to their strongest unit. If you can keep that from happening just by killing all of their units and having a clear board, that can be quite beneficial. So you could also just focus on going with decks that have a lot of removal as well as control. So Annie or Yasuo would do quite well. Jack, Vhagar also would be pretty decent options just for making sure the enemy board is clear. So there's a lot of different ways you can play with this, but just be aware that the enemy Phantom Pranks with that 0/10 probably going to get consumed in one of the first rounds or obliterated, and double those amount of stats are going to be given to the enemy's strongest unit. So just be aware that they're going to have a very beefy unit that's going to have a hard time being taken off the board for most champions. Alright, next up for the 4.5, we have Gathering Storm. When the foe's units attack, stun the player's weakest unit, and then the foe draws 1. The Undying Rage, so this is the Tridemir power. Each round, the first time the foe's units would die, grant them Tough, Overwhelm, and Fearsome instead, and then the Vicious Enemy. So, Gathering Storm, couple different ways to approach this. Either trying to make sure that the enemy units can't attack, so that they're either controlled, like stunned or frostbitten, which technically if they're frostbitten they can still attack, but normally if they're frostbitten the AI doesn't attack with them, so that normally still gets the job done. So either controlling them or removing them, so just killing them before they can attack. That will normally be pretty difficult to do consistently, just make sure they can never attack. So you also want to make sure you have a fairly wide enough board where you have more than one unit that can block. You don't want them to stun the unit you want to block with, and then they just are able to hit you. So normally try to go for a wider board if possible. Undying Rage can be difficult. Normally the best way to get around this is to just ignore it and go straight for the Nexus. So either focus on units that can deal damage straight to the Nexus, such as Kindred or Vhagar, or just focus on stacking Elusive or Overwhelm. So you can really build around this with relics, either going for Shade Leaf so you can support your units and grant them Elusive. Great way to just ignore the Undying Rage mechanic. Or just go for a Troll King's Crown, giving all your units Overwhelm and just trying to brute force your way to destroy the Nexus and not even necessarily worry about killing the enemy units. This will be another one that you could play most champions with and should do fine. These are just more powers you have to be mindful of and planning for ahead of time. So just before you go into the game, have a plan for how you're going to deal with the Undying Rage. Are you going to have enough removal to get rid of the units, or are you just going to be able to hit the Nexus through them and destroy it regardless? You can also always just go with the tried and true tactic of taking a broken S tier champion, and ending the game in the first couple rounds. So Teemo would actually work quite well here. Jinx will be a little bit worse since if the enemy units have tough, they don't take damage from her star powers essentially, but she'll still deal a lot of Nexus damage. Diana or Jax should be able to just OTK most enemy fights. But that's it for this week's weeklies. Let me know down below what you plan on running, and if you have any tips or tricks in these weeklies for other players, definitely comment down below. Always good to help each other out. Also, we did just launch a Discord. It's growing very rapidly. Great place. There's always discussions going on about Path of Champions. So if you want to join the discussion, click the link down below, and I hope to see you there. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.